some that they're like revisiting. Got it.
Oh, okay. When you turn on the camera, Jesus Christ.
There he is. Silent Night, Deadly Chris.
Yes.
It's
Like, is that some sort of fart porn? I don't.
art form. It's like it's a shirt you're wearing.
Guys, yeah. As you know, I saw Pearl today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy God!
So
What a
Great
movie!
movie.
So
What a
good.
Forward to.
Barbarian was fucking out of control.
Looking forward to watching that.
That's what I said. I was telling a coworker today because he recently saw X, and I was like, "Dude, Pearl's out. Like, I'm gonna go see Pearl." And I told him this like,
It's a PCP nightmare in amazing Technicolor.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a wild
Yeah.
ass movie. Dude, she is a fucking powerhouse in this
It's
movie.
crazy. It's insane because I'd never seen like an interview with her before, and as the character Maxine and as Pearl like in X, like it's two very like
Towards the end of this movie,
Oh
that's
yeah.
just insane. It's like it is equivalent to, not in terms of like intensity, but just in terms of like the incredible acting that is being done here in front of you. It is similar to like Willem Dafoe's Hark speech in The Lighthouse.
Like wow.
Yeah. But
Wow.
but Pearl is not what we're talking about.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I saw it today.
Yeah. It's an amazing movie.
cut to
This
like an
is-
hour into the podcast.
Yeah.
This is the first episode of season 3, and we're I don't know, we're doing things the same but different. I don't know. We got a movie and a topic. That's what we're doing. That's our theme for the season. And today it is Goonies and movies that can't be remade.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Fucking I love the Goonies, and that's why I wanted to talk about it, because I fucking love the Goonies. I was hanging out with like 2 of my friends the other day, and we watched the Goonies, and it was so good. Like I saw the Goonies. I think my dad showed it to me. We were at Blockbuster or something when I was 7 probably, and we were at Blockbuster and we found, I think it was, we found like a VHS tape, and he was like, "We gotta watch the Goonies, you'll love it." And I was like, "Okay." We watched the Goonies and I loved it. And then for my my upcoming birthday, I got the Goonies on DVD, and it's a movie that is not without its many glaring flaws, but it is such a fun it's such a fun movie. And when I was when I was watching with my friends the other day, we were trying to think of like what it is really about this movie that is so great despite all of its flaws. And I was thinking it's not so much wish fulfillment, but it is like the ultimate kids adventure. Like, it is a wildly fun adventure movie for, young teenagers, tweens, whatever. And like, what kid at some point between like 4 and 13 hasn't played Pirates?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, well, the thing is about this movie, it has like everything a kid could want. Like all the kids are like literally kids from there's a couple like older teenagers, Josh Brolin,
Mhm.
and the 2 older girls, but it literally has like something like every kid like going on an adventure, going against crooks, a a monster, a gentle giant monster mongoloid that turns out to be very friendly. Um, yeah, it just basically has like it's and especially like when you're a kid, like imagine like back to like when you're growing up back in the day before like you had stuff like or like shows like Stranger Things or stuff that like, depicted young kids in adult situations. Like
Oh
the
yeah.
Goonies kind of like the Goonies kind of solidified that really,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
for sure. It was
Uh you, oh no, sorry.
well, no, I mean kind of to your point, it's like
Yeah.
Oh, hello. It's like you knew I was going to be here right at this time.
well, I don't know, that was
Yeah.
weird. It's like I have space on my computer. It just isn't.
Chris motion activated.
Maybe it's like a glitch or something.
I don't know. Um, yeah, well, what I was saying before it stopped recording was that the Goonies is what like Stranger Things and like It Chapter One kind of like emulates a little bit.
Even
That's
even like the Monster Squad really. Like, to a degree.
Monster Squad is the Goonies for horror kids.
When-
Right.
it's the Goonies for the older
The
brother.
Monster Squad is for the kid that's Nightmare on Elm Street on USA at like fucking midnight or something.
But you
And
know what I mean though? Like I don't see Monster Squad without the Goonies. You know what I mean? Without it like
true.
paving the road for it.
It's a very similar like plot stencil.
Yeah, I mean,
They just
like
took the Goonies and they were like, put the fucking Universal monsters in there.
yeah.
well, I think the Goonies has kind of become like synonymous with that child, group of kids on bikes adventure.
Kids on
But
bikes going on an adventure in suburbia. And I mean, if you grew up like, in
if
any
it's in the
suburb,
80s, forget
you
about
can
it.
kind of relate. It's
I live that life every day.
Still,
Yeah, well, like in growing up, when I grew up, every day was the fucking Goonies. Like you kind of, it was, dude.
you had a giant mongoloid friend.
It's crazy to think
just
about
getting
now.
chased by the Fratellis every day.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Fratelli.
I gotta fight a fucking weird ass family every day. It's really weird to think about. Like growing up, then, like there were no cell phones and shit where you could like keep track of people. It was like you'd be
Corey
like,
Feldman was your best
get
friend.
up, you'd get up, you'd like talk to one of your friends on the phone or something. You'd eat breakfast, and then you'd like wouldn't see your house until it was till whatever curfew you had, and nobody fucking your parents couldn't find you. Like,
That's what I mean. That's everybody's life in like the 80s and 90s, or every childhood upbringing. Because
yes.
I always had when I was really young, come home when the street lights come on.
Street
Yeah.
lights were a big thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember one time like I had like two other friends and we like kind of alternated every weekend to like who's gonna stay at whose house and shit.
Hmm.
And I remember I slept over to my friend's house and we were leaving and he told his parents, he's like, okay, is it okay if I stay at Chris's house or whatever? And they're like, yeah. So then I stayed at his house, he stayed at my house, and then we were like gone all day the day after that until nighttime. He came home, his parents were like, you're grounded. He's like, what are you talking about? They're like, where have you been?
Yeah.
He's like, when I left the other day, I told you what I asked you if I could do this. They're like, oh, okay.
Oh,
I've definitely had those times in high school and stuff where like I would go over to a friend's house like after school or something, and then I wouldn't come back home until like 10 o'clock like the next night, and my parents would be like, "Where? Like I haven't seen you in 2 days. Where have you been?" I'm
we
just like,
almost
"I
called the
told
cops.
you."
I mean, you got to be honest though. Like, between the three of us, Chris is the only parent. Like, I definitely get paranoid nowadays if my kid just did
Oh,
not show
well,
up like that night. Because it's like, dude, I watch so much fucking like true crime shows, and
Yeah.
that's how half of them start.
it,
So
Yeah.
it
I,
is a
I get I
different
get the paranoia now.
it is a different time now too, because I will say another thing about the Goonies, and another reason why it was Be Home Before the Streetlights, and you know everything like that, was pre-internet, pre-cell phones,
Yeah,
pre all that stuff. So it was such a different world, which is kind
Very
of
much so.
which sort of brings me to that, like, movies that couldn't be remade, and why the Goonies, like, specifically couldn't be remade or rebooted or anything like that, because it's just it I mean, they've been trying to for like almost 40 years now. They've been trying to get a sequel to this movie made, and it just won't happen because it
it
it's
wouldn't work.
lightning in a bottle, it's
Yeah,
not.
I mean, nowadays, like it's like think of it this way, like if you tried to remake like The Breakfast Club nowadays, it would just be four people looking at their phones in detention for 2 hours.
Well,
You know what I mean?
well,
Like,
that's the thing, is that you could either modernize it, which then again is stale for a lot of
yeah,
audiences.
it's
You could
yeah,
set it back in the 80s, or even put it in the 90s, and it you would either have to do one of two things, which is where the Goonies kind of falls perfectly, especially at in the mid 80s when it came out, was if the Goonies comes out now and you remake it or anything, it either has to be PG-13 bordering on R, or PG bordering on G.
Yeah.
yeah. PG bordering on G would ruin it though.
It
Because
would,
And,
and
and
it's
that's
just
the
like,
thing too.
another thing we're gonna talk about in a different subject later this season.
yeah, yeah,
PG then and PG now, PG-13 then and PG-13 now are
a
very
lot
different.
different. Yeah.
But that's the
Very
thing though.
different.
Like, say what you will about the Goonies, like regardless of the fact that it is a PG movie, it's got balls.
Well,
For,
it's a PG movie where PG actually means parental guidance.
yeah,
Watch with your mom or dad, which is, when I was 7 years old, I was watching it with my dad. And it's like, yeah, because, there's the scene right in the beginning of the movie when Chunks, like, yogurt spills all over him, and he's just like, "Oh shit." And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like right there. And I'm 7 years old, and I'm just like, that's hilarious.
They openly fat shame their fat friend too.
Yeah,
They
and
don't
then
let
you
him.
do the
They don't
truffle
let him in the
shuffle.
house until he shakes his stomach. They call it the
Yeah.
No,
double.
because that's how kids act. Like they could try to
Yeah,
chat it
yeah.
up all they want right now, but kids act like that.
Um,
Still.
so it was hilarious when I was watching the Goonies the other day. There was a Gremlins reference in that movie.
One.
Yeah, when Chunk is calling the sheriff, when Sloth is like eating all the ice cream, and he's like Rocky Road, and just
Yeah.
he's calling the sheriff, and the sheriff is like, "Oh, so is this just like the time, blah blah blah?" And Chunk is like, "No," and then the sheriff is like, "Or is this just like the time you told me about those like pets that'll like turn into monsters when you pour water on them?" And I was just like, "Oh, what? That's so cool."
Those movies are like a year apart too. That's
I
crazy.
know, like, that's so, I don't know.
Both,
I was like,
both
that is
share
so fucking dope.
both share Corey Feldman too.
Were
Yeah.
they both who directed Gremlins?
Joe Dante.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Joe Dante and Richard Donner directed Goonies.
Yeah, okay.
They definitely they were both produced by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. I know
So
Steven Spielberg
there's
Also,
definitely a lot of
also
interconnection.
in the Goonies.
two guys right there that directed episodes of Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's dope. I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Tales from the Crypt is a fucking goddamn powerhouse, my man.
um, but yeah, like, I just, I think the Goonies is, I think another reason why I don't think you could remake the Goonies today is because we already have a Goonies for this generation now. Say what you want, but It Chapter 1 is this generation's Goonies. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Exceptionally more brutal. You know.
are, you know.
in the Goonies. But yeah, I get what you mean though. In the sense that it like paints kids in the same like in like that way that they actually act. Like if you ever like walk across a group of like kids that age and see how they actually talk, like it's always like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
fucking this dude,
Oh
my
yeah.
dad is such a fucking bitch. Like you know what I mean? Like
Dude, I go to Dashes. I walk to Dashes every day on my way to work to get a Red Bull. And
Yeah.
almost all the time there's always this group of like looks like 5th or 6th graders that sit out in this little like eating area and just I I hear them and I kind of watch them and I'm just like was I did that too when I was that age, didn't I? I talked that terribly. Like, I mean,
I was at the club
we all
getting
have
mad
pretty
cookie
bad
basket.
mouths. I will say this, like, we all swear pretty terribly, but these kids, it was literally every other word was fuck or bitch or shit or crazy other things.
Bunch of little Bill Burrs.
Dude, it was
Bro, I
wild.
mean, honestly, that was me when I was a kid. I definitely swore a
That's
lot.
every dude.
Yeah.
That's every kid. That's
Yeah, it
every
was
fucking kid.
definitely every, 5th, 6th, 7th grader.
You,
Yeah.
you discover those words, and it's off to the races.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Like,
that's your first addiction.
yeah, dude, it's fancy talk. They are sentence enhancers, as SpongeBob has told me. But anyways, but yeah, but back to the Goonies. Is there a scene from the Goonies that for you guys has always like stuck out, or has always just been like one of your favorite? Like the Goonies, obviously at this point is such a nostalgic movie. Is there any kind of scene in the Goonies that sort of hits your nostalgia, kind of like right where it's supposed to when you watch it?
Like
I actually like that scene when Corey Feldman tells the story when they're like looking around the house when they're like in the attic.
like the
Corey
what-
Feldman when he's like licking the picture.
Yeah,
Oh, when he's got his tongue through the picture, that's your favorite scene?
oh, yeah.
When he's
like
like,
that, but then he's like telling these stupid fucking wild stories while he's up there, like
Sean
when they're
Astin.
walking around each room and shit.
Sean Astin is telling the story.
Oh, god damn it. Okay.
Oh, that's why I was like, wait a minute, what? Like,
Yeah, I was like, wait, Corey.
Wait. No, not that. Holy god. Yeah, I'm high. Uh,
are you talk are you talking about the scene in the this is one of my favorite scenes, the scene like halfway through when they end up at like the bottom of that wishing well or whatever, and Corey Feldman's giving the whole speech. It's like, well, he's like, you can't take these coins; they're kids' wishes, and he's like, pulls
oh
up.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
well, this one's
yeah,
my wish. I'm taking it back. Like,
yeah. That
That
was
was
actually
so
a good
good,
scene.
dude.
I think,
So
I
good.
think, like, man, it's tough. There are a lot of great scenes
Yeah.
in this movie.
Like even watching that scene the other day when Corey Feldman is like, this one right here, this was my dream, my wish, and it
Yeah,
didn't come true, so I'm taking it back. I'm taking them all back, and he just dives in. I'm like, damn, Corey Feldman, like
getting it,
holy
bro.
shit,
he ends up with like $3 worth of wishes.
dude. But even just on like an acting level, like child
Yeah,
Oh,
acting,
for
dude,
a kid.
dude,
but that was amazing.
between this and between
Stand by Me.
Stand by Me, it's peak Feldman. It was all downhill after that.
I mean, he was
You know,
good
the
in the
scene that,
Burbs and the Lost Boys.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. In his early teens, he was good, but like this,
License to Drive.
in terms of dramatic acting, this is
the
like
scene that kind of fucking scares me in that movie is when they're tied up in that fucking and Robert Davi, one of the Fratelli brothers, like fucking singing some song in Italian. Like, dude, that shit is creepy as fuck, dude. That's
dude,
scary. I'm
it's
like,
so
he's gonna
random.
chop them up now. Like,
It adds, dude. It's like what's his face in Reservoir Dogs? Michael Madsen almost. It's like that. But
Um,
no, like the
I I love the scene when Chunk escapes, and he's like, he jumps in front of the car and he's like, "Stop, I'm just a kid." And the guy's like, "What seems to be the problem?" And he's just like, "You've got to help me. There's these three really disgusting people. You might have heard of them, the Fratellis. Well, they're after me." And then the guy just turns on his light, and Chunk just starts speaking Hebrew, and he's just like, "Bora chata," and the guy just starts.
And he gives up everything that he knows immediately.
Yeah, when they try to put his hand in the blender.
You might not have for telling.
He's like crying.
Or that scene where
I pushed
them
my
and
sister
Aaron-
down the stairs, and then I blamed it on the dog.
and dude, Robert Davi's like, I think I like this kid. Oh shit, dude, that was so funny. So many great, so many great funny scenes like that.
So quotable.
Just and just like the thing with Chunk too, like at first it's like, oh, he's just the throwaway fat kid, but he ends up, him and Sloth end up being like the heart of the movie.
Oh, they're
basically.
super important.
You know?
I think that like one of again, another reason why this movie couldn't be remade, especially as a PG movie, is one specific scene where Chunk smells the ice cream, goes into the cooler, everyone's staring at him, and there is a dead body with a bullet hole in their forehead that falls on top of Chunk, and he's literally just like, "It's a stiff."
It's stiff.
Yeah. That cannot happen in a PG movie nowadays.
Yeah, that is
Like,
true.
that won't ever happen in a PG movie. You will never see a Fed, as they would refer to him. So they killed a cop. They shot a cop in the forehead, and this dead cop fell on Chunk. And this dead cop comes back again when they throw Chunk in the back of the car, and he's laying right next to the body.
He's like laying and screaming.
Yeah.
Dude, Chunk has the best like.
Oh, his
Not body
scream is
shaming here,
amazing.
but the best comedic fat kid reactions to anything ever. Just like when he like screams at something like just, you know.
Yeah, it's so great. I love this movie. Um, we have about 8 minutes before we have to stop and restart, but is there any one thing in particular about this movie that you really dislike?
It's not necessarily something that I dislike, but something that's more like that would never like not saying like, there's not like a bunch of like unrealistic shit in like most movies, but this was even parodied in an episode of Bob's Burgers that had like an episode like paralleling the Goonies with all the kids like going on an adventure. Like it's the scene at the end where Chunk is like, it's okay, Sloth. You're gonna live with me now. And the parents would probably be mortified if he told them that. Like in the episode of Bob's Burgers that I'm talking about, like she befriends this like insanely and creepy looking giant dummy or whatever. It's like not even alive. And she's like, she says that line to it. She's like, "You're gonna live with us now." And the parents are standing behind it. They're like, no, it's not happening. But like, it's like, this is my friend Sloth. Like,
I think I disliked that the treasure was real.
You didn't like that the treasure was real?
I think that's
the payout, man. That's how they kept their homes.
I mean, all right. I don't
Fucking-
I don't care about their homes.
You wanted them to turn.
You wanted to see them all.
golf course?
You wanted the downbeat ending of them all being homeless by the end, by movie's end. I don't give a fuck.
Signage, Troy's dad.
I don't give a fuck about these kids. Fuck, I don't give a fuck
Yeah.
about your
Fuck
gay
you,
little
fuck.
pirate treasure.
I want to see what Whole 5 looks like.
Yeah,
I fucking
I want to see a sequel where they're all out on the streets.
Yeah.
clearly I was.
Dana said something about Detroit. I want to see the sequel where they also come to gang violence.
Yeah, I want to see the sequel where Corey Feldman starts doing crack and fucking
I want to
like,
see the
like,
sequel where they all live in Detroit. Everything looks like 8 Mile.
yeah.
They start going to the shelter.
Really?
You see Chunk become just like the best hip hop like, ever.
Chunk
No.
battles for One Eye Willie's gold.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am fat. Yes, I do have a friend named Sloth who's a mongoloid.
30 years later, the treasure was real. We didn't have to be homeless. They're battle rapping for the fucking One-Eyed Willie treasure.
You're not the mouth of anything. You're just Nathan fucking Porter. Or whatever. What was Mouth's real name in the movie?
You just made up a fucking name for the dude.
Clark.
Okay.
His name was Clark.
Clark.
Okay, well, again,
You're not the mouth of anything. You're
this.
just Clark fucking Porter.
Clearly, I'm fucking too high for this, so I picked a scene that would ruin the whole movie. Of course, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if there's anything that I don't like about this movie.
For
It's hard to nitpick.
It's hard. It's really hard to pick. Like, I'd be nitpicking if I did. Like,
for me, the only thing that I don't necessarily like about this movie, and it's a technical thing, is the editing in this movie, particularly like in the beginning of this movie, isn't the best. The editing and some of the voiceover work is a little wonky. Like the scene,
product of its time more so.
well, there's a scene when after they talk to Troy's dad and they're all in the kitchen, and the editing just in that scene is kind of weird. And then when they all are looking at the map and Sean Astin is clearly doing this voiceover after his voice had started already getting a little bit deeper, where he was like, "What are we doing? What are we gonna do about this country club? It's killing our parents." And it's like, that's not any of you kids anymore.
It's always funny with these, like, and I've seen it in several like movies and shows like this where the kid goes through puberty over the span of the shoot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you watch Whitewater Summer,
It's just really
like that's why the movie is essentially split into like two parts in Whitewater Summer, because in the camping part with Kevin Bacon, his voice is way higher, and then when he's doing like the little like fourth wall break stuff, his voice is way deeper, and he's got like a mullet going on now.
Dude, you're fucking obsessed with that movie.
Because I love that movie.
I don't want to rewatch it now. I do remember.
Dude, it's a great movie.
I haven't seen that movie in at least a decade.
I'm messing with him. It's a great fucking movie.
It's so good.
I like it a lot. Dude, I've watched it a lot.
It's so
actually, I should watch it again because I haven't watched it in a really long time. But I used to watch that movie. Used to be on HBO all the fucking time.
Yeah, that's where I watched it.
Oh yeah, I used to watch
it on HBO all the time, and I would just watch it whenever it showed.
Oh yeah,
PG movie.
I just remember Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon reminded me of like my gym coach at the time, who was kind of like an asshole.
Yeah, he was just throwing kids off fucking mountains and shit.
You're gonna swing. We're not gonna help you.
So we have about 2.5 minutes left. Do you want to stop and keep going, or do you want to just run out these last 2 minutes?
I want to stop and keep going. I don't really.
Yeah, because I guess
I don't have anything to say that won't go off on a tangent.
We got to get to movies that we don't think could be remade. So
yeah. All right. So all right. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, stop it. We'll do it. We'll get through. I guess on that note, we'll move to the second part of this. Holy God, I'm so sorry. We'll move to the second part of what movies do you think shouldn't or can't be remade? Not shouldn't, because we could be here all day for that shit.
Yeah. You're talking about can't be remade, like remake per se. Like you can argue that Goonies has been remade like several times, like, you know, between Stranger Things, Monster Squad. You can like lay a whole gamut of that, but like
actually remade, like they take that IP and they put their name on it.
Yeah, like it's almost like movies like the Goonies created their own genre. The same way, like, you know, I know it's not the first slasher, but like you can say Friday the 13th, I know it's not the first movie of its kind. It's just like one of the most popular like initial ones, but that's been remade like dozens of times. Like you can say The Burning is like a, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's if you want to talk, like I think if you took a movie like Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, which if Jim Carrey wasn't in it would probably be a really terrible movie. You couldn't really remake that.
They had one of those. It was called the Ace Ventura, the fucking early years or something.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
Wasn't
like
that
like
like
yeah,
a
it
tiny
was
little
like
that
packet,
kid.
right?
some
Yeah.
random fat kid, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Some random little chunk.
um,
uh, but you know what I mean? Like certain movies like this,
yeah.
I think a lot of the magic comes from like the cast itself, like
Oh yeah.
the kind of lightning in a bottle aspect of it.
Yeah.
Um, and
Um,
again, like, no, sorry.
no, no, keep going.
I know. Just trying to think. Like, like I'm saying, like you couldn't really like remake a movie like Friday. You know what I mean? Like, because it was so like a product of its time and such like a product of like its actors and shit like that.
We're getting close because they've remade House Party. So
Yeah.
Oof.
Um,
Cringe.
yeah. A movie that I don't think could be remade for a lot of different reasons is Mallrats. Um,
Yeah.
one
and no one
because
gives a
Mall
shit about the mall.
what?
No one gives a shit about the mall.
Yeah, one because no one
The
goes to
mall
the
would be,
mall
the mall
anymore.
would be unoccupied.
Yeah, so since no one goes to the mall anymore, but also just sort of the way that characters are kind of written in that, like, even none of those characters are exactly likable people. Like even Jason Lee's character, who's the main character, like he's kind of a
He's
douchebag
a
to
he's still a narcissistic asshole.
yeah, like he's kind of
He's,
the only person who's like who you kind of like is Frankie from Boy Meets World, who's just
yeah.
staring at the fucking painting all day.
You know what? There is no Easter Bunny.
That guy over there is just a guy in a suit.
You dumb bastard. That's not a schooner. That's a sailboat. He's like-
Um,
I think I get what you mean with that, but still, like, that's part of the charm in it. Like, that's part of, especially Jason Lee, that's his charm. The
oh
fact that he's
yeah,
like he's a total like dork, but at the same time, he's like a very oddly like well-spoken, like kind of impassionate asshole.
yeah, oh yeah. He's a likable
Yeah.
asshole, which
Like, there's no reason that Renee in that movie should be fucking like, should go back to him, but you still want it to happen.
yeah,
And her, then the only other option is fucking statutory rape Ben Affleck.
Oh, it's two girls in uncomfortable places.
Like the back of a Volkswagen.
um,
I don't know why that joke is still funny to me, but it is. You can say that though about any Kevin Smith movie, I think though. Like you couldn't
no,
really remake Dogma or like you know
no,
what I mean? Like
no. I think Kevin Smith movies, just in general, you can remake because they're made in such like a specific voice,
yeah.
which is I think what kind of the overall thing probably that I feel like the general consensus with any movie that we pick that couldn't be remade is kind of the voice that's given to him, like Ace Ventura, because like Ace Ventura is Jim Carrey, like
Yeah.
there's no one else that can be him.
That's
Um,
true.
just like I like they could try to remake Billy Madison, it wouldn't work.
Right.
Yeah. That'd be-
Um,
Uh,
yeah,
y- yeah, I mean, it's like, if you tried to recast Jay and Silent Bob, it would like, you wouldn't
Oh,
even be able
God.
to you wouldn't even be able to recast Silent Bob good. You know what I mean? A character that never has to say anything. Um, but no, it's not just that, but the View Askew movies, they all take place in like their own little universe, and like
Yeah.
it's not saying like there aren't still places like that, but it's very much like late 80s to like through the late '90s, I think.
Yeah,
There's like something that we're never quite gonna get back in terms of
yeah,
like, any like attempt at remaking it, it would have to take place back then, I think.
yeah. I mean, I think like it. I don't know. I mean, I think that a movie.
Cats
What's that?
your
What's
cat's
what
like,
movie?
I like Kevin Smith movies too.
um,
Also, where you hiding
They,
the fancy
what's
feast?
that? What's that? They can't remake Catwoman? Oh, they should though.
I have thoughts on Halle Berry interacting.
um, fuck, I totally forgot what I was gonna say now. Um,
Thanks, Cat.
Why don't you tell us? Why don't you tell us what movie you think should can't get remade?
Thanks. He thinks they should try remaking Cats again.
um, shit.
Stephen King's A Cat's Eye.
I'm trying to think of a movie that like would be remade, but like would fail if they did remake it. Um,
You mean like they tried to do with like Point Break? Like
yeah, kind of
Isn't
like something like that, or um,
they're gonna remake Lethal Weapon? It's gonna be a fucking huge pile of shit.
Lethal Weapon? Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, they did like a TV show that ended up being like pretty bad.
Yeah,
Uh, well, certain things like you can remake the plot technically, but you can't remake like the chemistry with the characters because a lot of the time, like especially with movies back in the '80s, a lot of it was like the characters and the actors. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it's like, oh, we're gonna remake The Last Boy Scout. It's like, well, whoever you get's not gonna be as funny as like, Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans like working together. And you're never gonna have like a villain as weird and quirky as what's his face there? What the fuck is the guy's name? Jesus Christ, it's not coming to mind. The guy who played Milo. Uh
like
he's in like
called everybody by their whole name. He was like Joseph.
hey Joseph. It's like he's like the officer comes to the car. He's like, "Do we have a problem here?" He's like, "Yes, officer. The problem is there's too many bullets in this gun."
I think that was that Taylor Negron.
Yeah, because he was known for like comedy and shit.
Yeah, he was
But
in
that's what I
fucking
mean
Fast
though. Like
Time.
that's like what I mean though. You can't like recreate that kind because like one of the main reasons people like that movie so much is because of characters like that. Same
Right.
reason everyone likes the Goonies because like you relate with the characters. Like you like Mouth, you like Chunk, you like Sloth, you even like the Fratellis, like to an extent, like as villains. But you can't you just like if you just like wrote a new script or whatever, and then like tried to like have like some random young actor come in try to like like copy that. It's like yeah, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like I think, I think that like the reason why I think I had the idea of movies that couldn't be remade is because it's like, as I said, kind of like at the beginning of this, is that like they've been wanting to remake the Goonies, and they've been wanting to reboot it or something, and it's just like it it's not gonna work. And so I think when I look at, like, I'm looking at my Blu-rays, and it's like, you like you could remake Trick or Treat, which is one of my favorite Halloween movies. um you could remake it, but there's something in the way that like it's presented nowadays, especially, that's gonna be ugly. Like when I watch the Hocus Pocus 2 trailers, I love Hocus Pocus. Like that's one of my favorite Halloween movies as a kid. But when I watch the trailers for Hocus Pocus 2, and there's like this weird slick look to it, everything looks like it's on a set. like there's no uh like a lot of like the magic is
Hey,
sort of
Yeah.
gone out of a lot of these remakes.
we could
Specifically,
talk about. We could do a whole topic on why sequels that are made like 20, 25 years after the original are all bad.
not
Yeah.
all of them.
Mm,
Top Gun Maverick was
Okay,
fucking
yeah.
yeah, that
amazing.
Is that
there's
good, dude? Is that good? Because
there's
Yes.
like an
I
exception.
love Tony Scott, but Top
No,
Gun I've just
it's
never been like huge
fucking
on.
good. I don't even really like the first Top Gun movie. Top Gun Maverick is fucking dope.
Okay, well I'll definitely check it out because that's what everybody says that it's like so good.
You really
Yes,
need to see it in the theaters, though. I will say that.
probably the
Well,
exception, but
It was a
like
good experience.
there are a
there's
lot
some-
that
it's like
like
one in
it's this
10.
hocus pocus 2 shit, man. I'm like, nope, probably not gonna capture that same magic.
It's
It's like
not. It doesn't look like it, and it's
it's
just
like
like
25 years later, we're good here. Like it's
yeah.
not
Well,
going to.
that's the thing too. Like you said, you couldn't remake or if they tried to remake something like Trick or Treat, probably wouldn't work. That's because the original Trick or Treat, it has the best Halloween setting of all time. It's timeless. It could take place in 1982 or 2022. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like it's very movies like Trick or Treat are like one of a kind, and it's the whole like thing with the Goonies too. That's one of a kind.
I
Like
mean,
you can't really emulate that. Can't catch lightning in the bottle twice for the
yeah.
same.
I'll tell
I
you
mean,
what
you
they're
can
never.
technically.
I'll tell you what can't be remade, boys. Hell comes to Frogtown.
Yeah,
Um,
you'll have to dig up Roddy Piper's corpse and reenact it Weekend at Bernie style.
the the movie that every couple of years it seems like there's always this weird rumor about a Beetlejuice 2 coming out.
Yep.
I don't think
Hmm.
that could do I don't think you should.
I'm not.
Unless you
I'm
got
not
Michael
feeling it.
Keaton
I'm
coming
not
back.
feeling it.
I don't think even if you brought Tim Burton, the whole crew, Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, even if you brought them all back, I don't
Nope.
think you should.
I'm the
Nope.
ghost with the most again.
And and again, I mean, we're gonna talk about Beetlejuice. That's an episode, and that Beetlejuice episode is gonna be about the ratings also. But again, Beetlejuice is nice fucking model
Honk
PG
honk.
movie
Oh, talk about a PG. Or wait, was Beetlejuice PG or PG-13?
PG.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. Nice
Yeah,
fucking
about
run. And what?
But it's but so if you make Beetlejuice now, you're gonna make it a lot more, probably a lot more like the animated show, where
yeah.
Beetlejuice is your best friend, which I mean, like yeah, like that could be fun, but it's they're gonna water down so many of the jokes because
They're gonna not only that, they're gonna make Beetlejuice a full-on protagonist.
yeah, like that's the thing is
You
like
know?
Beetlejuice is really the bad guy in the movie.
Yeah, he's the bad guy in his own movie.
Yeah,
They'll bring in it's a Tim Burton, so they'll bring in Johnny Depp as the new villain and Helena Bottom Carter.
yeah, like one of them, and it's just like, and so it's
Uh,
like I don't think Beetlejuice could ever be remade, or I don't think there could ever be a sequel
Just-
because I think it's
it's-
you're gonna run that slick fake look and that obvious cash grab.
Hollywood is so like fucking shameless that they will remake anything, but you just shouldn't remake certain things because like, and it makes you think too. Like you have like these people in like executive positions, like in charge of millions upon millions of dollar productions, and they still like will release a sequel or like a remake that's absolutely like atrociously bad. Like even in the sense that if someone sees a trailer for it, they'd be like, "Oh fuck this,"
Hmm.
you know what I mean?
yo, when I see the trailer, this is okay. So I've been to the movies twice in like a week, and both times I saw the trailer for Halloween Ends, and I was like, "Evil dies tonight again."
Evil dies tonight again.
I've been trying my hardest to. I mean, when I saw Pearl, yeah, they had the trailer for Halloween Ends, but
That's basically the trailer. They don't
yeah,
really, you don't
um,
really get the
I
gist
mean,
of anything.
I'm excited for Halloween Ends. I will.
I'm definitely checking that out. Like
You
on
know, it's the
on
Halloween franchise. Like I just
That makes one of
yeah,
us.
definitely. I mean, like, oh, okay. What do you call it though? Like Halloween Kills. Yeah, it's a bad movie, but I don't regret
fun.
watching it. It was
It's a
fine, like
Yeah,
fun
for the
yeah,
kills
no,
and
I
for
could
the,
say that. I could
it's
also
like
say that. I don't
it's
regret it.
far, dude. It is far from the worst Halloween movie.
Yeah, that's
Well,
true.
very
It is
much
not
so.
Halloween 5.
Like, I'll watch it, but like again, like Halloween Kills. I always say it like it's almost like a South Park version of fucking of a
It's
Halloween
such
movie
a
with Randy
germs.
Marsh leading a mob. It does tonight. Hey, that guy.
Man, if
Hey,
there's
is
no
that Michael
angry,
Myers?
if there's no angry mob
Yeah.
in this movie, I'm
Hey,
okay.
hey, is
I'm
that Michael
cool.
Myers?
It's
I don't
already
fucking know
better.
he's wearing. Is that Michael Myers? I don't fucking know he's wearing a hospital gown. Let's kill him.
Um,
You know what? I've tempered the expectations. I don't want to go into this thinking it's going to be
Dude,
one of the
don't get me
greatest
wrong.
Halloween movies of all time. I'm
Not
going to be
gonna pay
like,
money
hey,
at the theaters.
Busta Rhymes and Tyra Banks show up, whatever,
Oh
bro.
man,
I'm in.
what a third act twist. Busta Rhymes just kicks in the door and
trick or
he's
treat,
got
motherfucker.
he's got Anthony Michael Hall on his shoulders.
Michael Myers is about to take
Evil,
him out in
they
Pop's
say it in
fucking
unison.
in Pop's LL Cool J.
He's still wearing his security guard uniform. All three of them at the same time are like, "Evil dies tonight." Whoa.
Oh no,
It's like a
that would automatically stop, dude. That would automatically make it the greatest sequel of all time.
they have like a Charlie's Angels esque like fight scene.
We're giving this away for free.
Yeah, man, we're giving Jason Blum ideas. uh,
So I think maybe like on that note,
Yeah.
that might be season 3, episode 1. Everyone.
yeah. Season 3, we
Hello,
started talking
season
about the
3.
Goonies.
We don't know how we made it, but we're here.
One thing, sorry, but one thing I do want to like mention about the Goonies though, I didn't see the Goonies until I was like 10 years old, but my brother, like or my older brother, he would always like walk around the house going like Ruth, Ruth, baby, like fucking like, and I never knew what he was talking about. Then I finally saw it once on I think it was TBS, like in the middle of the day one time, and it all made sense to me. So that random tidbit of information. But yeah,
All right, folks. I
Uh,
got season 3, episode 1.
yeah. This is Chris. You and I started this podcast 1 year ago, like last Sunday, I think.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that was when our Malignant episode came out. I want to say it was like September 18th.
Oh god. Malignant.
speaking of Malignant, then Corey came in.
But yeah, so we've been doing this for a year now. Pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
Hopefully this time around our episodes are back to weekly instead of just whenever the fuck we can. And yeah, season 3 next episode we're talking about
Yep.
what are we talking about next episode?
Oh my god.
Next episode we are talking about Dawn of the Dead, the 2003 Zack Snyder masterpiece.
Yeah.
And yeah, so thanks to anyone and everyone. See you guys next time.